Hey guys, and welcome to part 8 of my playthrough of Bloodborne at 60fps. So in this episode I'll cover a few things. For starters I'll head to the lecture building and then head on to Bergynwerth. And later on I will cover the path to Cainhurst Castle as well. So in order to get to the lecture building, we start from Cathedral Ward, we run all the way up the central path, and at a certain point here we will take a right, and we run along till we get to a flight of stairs which takes us all the way down, and then we will encounter two enemy hunters. Now the first enemy hunter isn't too bad. He will attack you with the Tonitrus, which is of course the bolt infused mace. It's not a bad weapon, but it's got very poor durability. So yeah, this guy isn't too difficult to kill. The other hunter, however, is another story, because he's a complete pain in the ass to kill, to put it bluntly, because he keeps spamming Ludwig's rifle at you and just constantly just staggers you with it, and that alone makes him quite tricky to kill. But for the purposes of getting to the lecture building, I just decide to run past him, just head straight on. And when we enter this hall, we will be captured by what is an invisible amygdala, who's obviously one of the kind of great one alien enemies of the game.
Oh, amygdala! Oh, amygdala! Have mercy on the poor bastard!
So here we are at the lecture building, and if we go to the first room just here on the far left, we will of course meet the mysterious figure who's behind the door. And of course we will see it as none other than Patches. And Patches has of course been in every Souls game, bar Dark Souls 2, and he's up to his usual mischief as he is in these games. And here he kind of teases you to go into a new area, which I will cover a bit later on. As for the lecture building itself, it is a bit dull, there's not a great deal of interest in here. The only enemies really are the Bergynwerth scholars, and even though they are kind of tricky to deal with in great numbers, because there are quite a lot of them in here, they are actually physically quite weak, and they're particularly weak to fire. The one big benefit here is that this is a pretty good farming spot, so if you keep killing them, then you'll obviously net plenty of blood echoes. Strangely enough, when you're clearing out this area, there sometimes is one that just doesn't attack and just sits in its chair, which is kind of weird in itself. Thought I'd put it in just for a bit of fun. So I decide to just have the hunter just sit down and chill. I then decide not to kill him and just head on out the area, because I did kind of feel a bit bad since he's the last man standing, or sitting in this case. So here I now head on to Bergynwerth, which is of course the next progression area of the main game. This area, however, is quite short. There isn't a great deal beyond the grounds of the building and the building itself. The enemies, though, can be quite tricky. You have, first of all, these annoying Garden of Eyes enemies. Do have some combo attacks where they can hit you. They also do a kind of frenzy damage attack, which, while it doesn't do any physical damage, it will cause a build-up of frenzy. And of course frenzy can really damage your health and take away most of it, if not all of your health. You will also fight a large centipede which deals arcane damage and yeah, can be quite dangerous to deal with. And you will also encounter one of the most annoying enemies in the game, although it's just one of them here, and that is a brain sucker. And thankfully it's just one of the guys we encounter here because they're an absolute nightmare to deal with at times. So as we go upstairs into the building, we can have a pretty difficult fight ahead of us as we take on another enemy hunter named Yuria. So she can do quite a lot of damage. She has a threaded cane, which she uses as her main weapon, and obviously it's one of the starting weapons of the game. But her most dangerous attack is without a doubt the Call Beyond, which is an arcane spell which can pretty much one-shot any player to get caught in it. And for me, this is also a pretty good reason to summon, I think his name is Madaras, to help you fight against Yuria, because yeah, he is quite effective at helping you taking her down. And once she is dead, you'll get some blue elixir from her, and you'll also pick up a key which will open the doors that are ahead of us in this area, which will lead out towards the next boss. But I will cover this boss in a later episode. And before we leave, I fire what is called the silencing blank, which is pretty hard to say. Yeah, this item will basically send our NPC summon back to their own world, which is useful if you'd rather go into a boss fight solo without a summon. And just before we finish this episode, I will show the path to get to Cainhurst Castle. So we start here from the Witch's Abode lamp in Hemwick Charnel Lane, and you basically run down this path until you get to a specific tree right at the bottom of the hill. Once you get to this tree, a cutscene will trigger and a carriage will arrive, and basically you step on the carriage and it takes you to Cainhurst Castle. Although, I do have to say it is quite funny how you might have a bunch of enemies right on you as you're running to get to this carriage, yet in the cutscene it presents it like you've got all the time in the world to get there. There's no one in your way. Yeah, it's quite bizarre how there's such a difference between the reality of you running away from enemies to get to this tree and to the carriage, and actually what you see in the cutscene. Yeah, it's quite a bizarre change. So that's it for this one, guys. So in the next episode I will cover more of Cainhurst Castle, and I will also return to Cathedral Ward to cover the questline that affects Ariana and Adela. So that's it for now, and I will see you soon.